family. La Joqueta Talparo. It's been a long time in coming. I haven't been here for quite a while, so I'm very happy to join you tonight, and we thank you for this wonderful welcome to the UNC team. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our two chairs for tonight, Chairman of the Kuva Tabaki Talparo Corporation, Ryan, and Councillor Balmati. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them. The one and only dynamic Deputy Political Leader, Jillian John, Senator John. The MP for Sama Barataria, Saddam Hussein. I think you are the youngest MP. He's the youngest MP in the parliament. And his face is still fresh. Still fresh and young. Bright young man, Saddam Hussein. Senator David Naked, boy, I don't know which football match you lose or which one you win. So I'll have to launch a probe. Some kind of investigation into that. Brilliant senator who fights for us every time, every place, everywhere, Senator Naked. And what do you say about Senator Arnold Roberts? In the cabinet, he sat with me in the cabinet. And a cabinet is like a very noisy place. You have to make very hard decisions. And you get some for, some are against. And you have to get a compromise in the middle. And arguments really going back and forward, and Arnold in that cabinet will never stop talking. You remember they used to call him Spock? You all remember that when he was on radio? So in the cabinet after a while, I say, Arnold, dede. In other words, means shut up. He was a great minister of our government, and I'm very proud to see him here tonight, to hear him. Give him a round of applause, Arnold. They can't stop you. They cannot stop you. And all these speakers here tonight, I thank our sister Jillian John, our deputy leader. We mentioned her before. Very hardworking. She has mobilized LHT here. I think she really deserves great commendation. As I thank her for working this seat and working it very hard. And I love the words of Saddam Hussein when he said, we have to take La Joqueta Talparo out of foster care and bring it into proper care. Okay, so we've had some events celebrating our 31st anniversary. Let me say for all those who are listening, I say good evening to all of you as well. Those on the TV, those on the Facebook, radio, wherever you are. We say good evening, La Joqueta. Let them hear you. Yes, let them hear you. So we've been celebrating 35 years of our great party. And I don't know if, Kevin, you have some of the clips that we can show. This is from Saturday's Family Day curry duck cookout. It was wonderful. The attendance was massive. Men, women, children. It was an amazing day. So you'll see some clips there. I think that is it, yes. So whilst that's up, we'll move along. I say, well, we are very happy to be here. Now I'm coming in the car. I'm listening to Chairman Ryan Rampersad, and he's talking, well, good evening here at the Brazil Secondary School. I said, what is he talking about? I built the school. I named the school. What is this in Brazil Secondary School? So I picked up my phone, and I went back, and I looked. And I want to ask Kevin to show the plaque. When we opened the school, Mr. Pandey and I came here in 2000. We opened the school. See the name. What do you see? Brazil High School. All those schools we built in the year 2000, I named them high schools because we wanted to distinguish them from the junior sex and senior secondaries. So what did the PNM do? They have not built a single school. But when they came into office, changing names. They do the same thing with the Kuva Hospital. I always ask you, what's in a name? It is what is the substance of the thing. And this great school, I will tell you, has, for those from 2000 to what is now 2024, 24 years, our young children have been gaining and being educated at this great Brazil High School. So we're very proud of that. I'm very filled with pride. I move along. Non-stop crime, violence, demonic bloodletting in Trinidad and Tobago under Rowley government. Now, I listened to Senator Nakin and he's totally correct. It is top-down crime, and I'll come and show some more. Senator Nakin shared it with us. As I'm communicating, I said, you're very right. You want to blame everybody here when it starts at the top. Senator, what do they say? A fish rottens from the head, from the top. So I'll come back to that in a moment. We are only in early May. Only 4 months and a week into 2024. Already the murder rate is, you know how much? Last time I counted, by now, I pray God no more. It is 197. You know how many days we have in the year? Nothing like 197, but 197 murders. I call on government to tell the country, whatever happened to the committee they appointed in 2020 to investigate crime in depressed communities? What became of that committee? Look at this clip from Cocorito. Coming up, Kevon. There you are. Mr. Rowley says it could be worse. We say our condolences to these families. I make a call tonight again. Mr. Rowley, you appointed a committee in 2020 to investigate crime in depressed communities. I make this call again because of the massacre at Cocorito over the weekend. The ongoing bloody murders in communities around our country. In one of his many gimmicks to put off dealing with the crime horror, Rowley in July 2020 announced a committee headed by Anthony Watkins to examine crime at hotspots. So I can name some of those areas or communities. Since then, since 2020, we have never heard a single thing about that committee. Nothing about that committee. Nothing about their recommendations. And nothing of government's adoption of any measures to curb the crime. Since March this year, there have been, as I say, 3 mass shootings with illegal firearms. 3 mass shootings. And they have been, I am told, from Friday morning, 6 a.m. to Monday morning, evening, 6 p.m., there have been 17 shootings. 17 shootings. And out of those 17, 11 people have been killed in this one weekend. And Rowley says it could be worse. When we look at those photos, you wonder if we are in Gaza. You wonder if we are somewhere in Ukraine in a battle zone. But these are our citizens. We have a Prime Minister missing in action. At a time when this is happening over this weekend, I'm saying 4 were massacred in Mayarum. 5 were massacred in Hart Place. 4 were massacred in Cocorito. There have been 47 murders per month in our country. Last year we had average 45. So there's an increase of the murders happening each year. The government must also explain what recommendations they implemented from the Gimmick Anti-Crime Symposium in April 2023. Big drama. They have to backdate some kind of, I'm starting to remind you, a procurement notice to give exemption for them to procure goods and services when they brought the whole CARICOM leadership to Trinidad. You all remember that in April Crime Symposium. What has happened since then? And when asked in Parliament recently, Rowley said, it could be worse. It could be worse. The government explained, what about the recommendations about control of illegal guns, drug trafficking, improved intelligence gathering, a new arrest warrant treaty? Not one of those has been implemented. So every time they do a probe, they hold a big meeting, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Anytime there's an outcry of something in this country, they call a consultation, they call a probe, they make a report, and then nothing. Nothing happens. What happened with the Paria divers up to today? Nothing. What about the 21 babies killed in a hospital? Where's the probe? What are the results of that probe? Unprecedented crime in this country. We have home invasions being totally out of control. Last week, our very own UNC temporary senator, a very devoted, pioneering animal rights activist, Joelle D'Souza, she was a victim of a brutal, traumatizing home invasion and assault. Look at the Express front page. Joelle. Young woman, 5 men with machine guns invaded her home. Home invasion. And you want to come and tell me, no, you don't want to give legal guns to our citizens to defend themselves. We will fight that, and we will never support those amendments to the Firearms Act. Joelle was tied up. She was beaten with a gun. She was threatened to be shot in a very horrifying ordeal. Imagine that is your sister or your wife or your daughter. Imagine that is your mother. What does the government have to say? We saw a woman from Kelly Street, Piarco. She was set on fire in a home invasion. Imagine home invading criminals lighting people on fire. A few weeks ago, they lit a home on fire with people inside the home. Home invasions are totally out of control. DJ Sheriff has put up a post for us. Woman 66 set on fire in home invasion. UNC, I tell you. UNC, I tell you again. We support stand your ground law and legal firearms. We will bring stand your ground laws with home invasion laws, make it easier for law-abiding citizens to get access to legal firearms. I fully support the right to bear legal firearms for law-abiding citizens so that you can protect your families. Saddam spoke about this new piece of law that they want to bring to the Parliament. Here it is. It is amendments to the Firearms Act. So they're doing consultations. Of course, they are not consulting with you. They're consulting with the outgoing Commissioner of Police because her contract expires in a couple of days. So is she gone? Or who knows? She may reincarnate and be reborn again. Let's see what happens. Under this PNM, the dead could come alive. So they want to create these safe spaces. This wicked government, they want to make it harder for you to get legal firearms. And they want to take away those who already have legal firearms. As I say, we will fight them. They're doing everything they can to help criminals attack you. They are recommending, as Saddam told us, the gun-free zones, which is a parliament. He told us courts, schools, colleges, universities, childcare centers, bars, banks, places of worship, and any government or private buildings declared by the minister. So this is just a list, because then what they will do, the minister will come and just keep adding. And the next place they'll say is in front of your house. You can have a gun in your own house to protect your family. That now becomes a safe zone, because your home is your castle. Your home should be the most safe place in the world. So we declare your home a safe zone, so you can't even get a legal firearm. When gunmen come to your house and attempt to rape your daughter, to rape your wife, to rape your sister, I ask the men in this crowd, what do? You stand your ground. You must stand your ground. We must give you the law to protect your families in your own home. Do you agree? Do you agree? Legally, you must protect your families. And it tells us about his 9-year-old daughter. You may have a 5-year-old or 6, 10, 13, whatever age, man, wife, children in that home. Your duty first as a father and a husband is to protect your wife and your children. And we will give you the power. We will give you the tools for you to do that. You watching me? I'm asking you, do you agree? Do you agree? Do you agree? Basically, they're saying you cannot have a legal firearm in any of these safe places. So you will have to leave it at home. As Saddam explained, you're going out and so on, leave it. Now, I think the most important point that identified by MP Saddam is this. It means anytime you go in anywhere near these places, and you go these places very often, banks and schools and places, the gunmen, the illegal men, the bandits say, no, you don't have your gun, your legal gun. So it now becomes not a safe zone for you and your family. Those will become safe zones for whom? For the criminals and the bandits. They are creating these, and you will be like a, like a deer with a light in your headlights in your eyes, and you will be caught like a sitting duck. Do you agree we should not support these amendments, I ask you? No support. But you see, this evil, wicked government, they want you all to be sitting ducks, wherever you are. But you know what? They have 24-hour security. You know who's paying for them? You. The taxpayers are paying to the protection, special branch security police for these ministers of government. But they don't want to protect you, to give you a legal firearm to defend yourselves and your family. Here in this constituency, JJ mentioned some of the areas. Let me just share with you. In La Joqueta, Talparo, here are some of the headlines. You have not been spared the crime. Police probe double murder in La Joqueta. TT Loop News. One man gunned down while liming in La Joqueta. Another headline. Murder in La Joqueta. Guardian. Loop News. Las Lomas. In Las Lomas too. Couple shot while driving in Las Lomas. Loop News. Las Lomas shooting leaves 2 hospitalized. Newsday. Teen shot dead in Las Lomas. This is from TV6. San Rafael. Man shot dead. This is in Loop News. Brazil Village. Passenger gunned down. In a taxi. Brazil Village. This comes from Loop News. And there it is. The refusal of these ministers to fire ministers of death. I branded Dial Singh as a minister of death when our babies were dying in a safe place in a hospital. Today I also brand Fitzgerald Hines as a minister of death because he cannot protect us as a minister of national security, just like Dial Singh cannot protect our children. Hines tells us it is not his job to keep this country safe. He has overseen thousands of deaths during his tenure, just like his colleague Dial Singh. Government has made history in our country, where with the most amount of murders and deaths happening under their watch, because they refuse to do their jobs. That is what our country has become. Number 6 in the world as a capital of death. Saddam spoke about the Auditor General. I can't do what Anil did. He's really good at putting over about the Auditor General. What you say is the money the PNMT for them, some more money. Eh? We are focusing, because this is in the public domain, on the $3 billion missing dollars. $3 billion missing dollars, where they attempted to get the Auditor General to cook the books, to include it, which she did not do. 2 weeks ago, through the Minister of Finance, the government had a constitutional duty to lay the 2023 report, submitted April 24 to Parliament. Saddam already spoke about that. So it is within the constitutional law, the deadline. By tabling the report, you know what would have happened? It would have become a public document. You know what that means? Anybody in the world, and right you here in LHT, anybody in the world would have been able to go up and find that Auditor Report 2023, telling you where the government got money from, where they spent money, where they borrowed money, all the monies of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, when they tabled that report, as I say, it becomes public, we can all see how the government spent that alleged 64 billion or 60 billion or 63 billion. As Saddam told us, the numbers keep changing. Immat and disgraced Laimon used the cloak of parliamentary privilege to attack a long-standing, highly qualified, respected public servant and her entire staff. They are public servants. They attack them in a most vicious manner. And you know all? Because the government, I tell you, they cannot account for $1 billion in expenditure. So yes, one is this $3 billion they want to cook the books. Tonight I will share you, that is what they want to hide. They have spent $1 billion and cannot provide any documentation, any evidence of where the money gone. So in addition to this $3 billion they're going to cook the books, there's $1 billion that has been spent, but there are no accounts, no documents, no evidence where the money gone. In the report, taxpayers would find questionable payments, suspicious contracts, lack of supporting documents, non-existent trading companies. There were no responses in some instances, and in others, the explanations the government gave totally unacceptable. So I am saying that this report exposes the government's racketeering, the government's cooking of the books, the government's inability to account for their monies. We have seen documents already out which states that a Toko Sandigrandi MP was paid $752,000 of your dollars for government rentals. We don't know what, where, or why, but we know an MP. That is in the auditor's report that they want to hide and they do not want to lay. It means the cabinet is again given one of their own MPs rental contracts. Using another one, yes. Just like Faris Al rental, we now have this guy, what's his name? Monroe, I think. Monroe. We have a Monroe Al rental as well. That is in the book. Monroe. That is in the report that they're hiding from you. And further, let's talk about this report again, about a major item in the report. All auditor reports, they do two things. They have revenue. Revenue is what you get. And then you have what you spend. But we've been hearing about the revenue side, where they want to say they get $3 billion more, or $2. By the time they're done, Mr. Rowley is on the platform saying he brings $17 billion to Trinidad. You hear that? He said when he traveled, he cost $17 billion to come to Trinidad. Well, I dare him. Show me where. Where is the $17 billion? Instead, you spent over $10 billion for all these travelers, and we'll be counting more because he's going again somewhere, some part of the world. So let's talk about the expenditure side. This report highlights several areas of concern. I'm putting up a slide there, Kevin. Do we have it? This is contained at page 17 of the report. Areas of concern include non-compliance with legal requirements, rules and regulations, and other directives. This is the part of the government. Weaknesses in systems of internal control, improper maintenance of accounting books and records, and breach of rights under Section 1162 of the Constitution for the Auditor General or the authorized persons to access all books, records, returns, and other documents about the public accounts. So let's look at the first one. The Ministry of Finance cannot account for $386 million they spent. You heard me? The Ministry of Finance cannot account for spending $386 million. So why you don't want us to see a report? You don't want us to find that you spent $386 million and it cannot, nothing, no evidence where this money gone. What was it about? What did they spend it on? So there are several areas here. The Treasury Division. Documents to support payments of public monies totaling $386.058 million were not produced for audit exams. Payments are as follows. Expenses in connection with international financial institutions, over $231 million. They can't show no paper, they can't show no evidence, but they spend $231 million of your money. They have something called a fiscal incentive program for farmers. They spent $77.3 million on that, but they can't find a piece of paper. So who are the farmers? Anybody here in La Coqueta Talparo? Any farmer here? You get any of that? You get that 71 million, uncle? No. No. To whom were they paid? By whom was it paid? And has to be again PNM Ratchifi. $77 million for farmers. And if you find me one Lahoketa Talparo farmer, tell them come on stage and take a bow because they would have been really God lucky to have got that money. Where the money gone? They spent another $24 million on contracted services. Again, this is where you have public servants, but they're not hiring the public servants. So what they do, they handpick you and you, Mary, John and Leela, PNM party card, they handpick them and they bring them in on contract and paid $24.7 million. This is just one ministry and one division, you know. It's happening in all of them. $24 million, and they cannot find a piece of paper, you understand, to support to whom they paid this $24 million and for what purpose. Then they have general administration, rent and lease. Who they rent from? Which lease again? $15.3 million, and the list goes on, and it totals about, as I said, $36 million. More than 36. 300, what am I doing? 386 million spent by Ministry of Finance and no documents to prove on what it was spent. So that is one of the things I feel that they're covering up. They don't want us to see that report. And again, if this is so, and it is so, it is in the report, then that is fraud. But more than that, it amounts to misconduct in public office. Misconduct in public office. And somebody will have to pay for that. They will have to pay for that. We will not let them rest. So the question comes now. Imagine the FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, cannot account for $6.3 million spent. This is the same institution which is in charge of suspicious transactions. I mean, if you're laughing, what they say, you'll cry. They're in charge of monitoring suspicious transactions, but they spent $6.3 million and can't find a piece of paper to prove who, how, what, when, why. As I laugh, I said, this has to be the biggest joke for these few days. Minister of Finance must move to provide documentation to support the spending of this $386 million. I ask again and ask with me, where the money gone? Where has this money gone? Minister, tell us. And that is the ministry, Finance, to oversee all other ministries and expenditures. So there are other areas. There is the Ministry of Education in the same thing. Then we have the Ministry of Works and Transport, and I'll come to that in a moment. We have the judiciary. Yeah, let's get, I spoke last week or a couple of weeks ago about the ticketing system. Anybody remembers that? I spoke about the government abusing ticketing and the demerit point system, using it as like a tax to raise money. What is presented as a mission for public safety is really a scheme for them to collect more money. That ticketing and terrorism against our drivers were never about road safety. It is another tax drive by government where they use a licensed authority to raise revenue. Tonight, in front of you, again from the Auditor General's report, page 656, the slide is up there. They collected revenue through the Postal Corporation on behalf of the Ministry of Works and Transport with respect to fixed penalty ticket trafficking system. You know what you call it? $74 million. Ticketing, drivers, ticketing them for demerit system, $74 million collected by squeezing. People can't earn a living, drivers losing their license with demerits, fines them. So the wicked government has terrorized our population with tickets to the amount of $74.58 million. So it's never about road safety. It was millions in the pockets of the PNM. The judiciary, and it hurts my heart. I didn't want to really talk about the judiciary, but this is so linked with the whole justice system, even with respect to crime and the dispensation of the rule of law and justice. In that auditor report as well, Show the slide from page 20 of the report. The judiciary, the institution which deals with the rule of law in our country, they cannot provide a contract agreement for audit examination for works valued at $34.4 million. Cannot show how they spent it, where they spent it, to whom it was paid. It was for rehabilitation of the Hall of Justice, Port of Spain, $15.7 million. Refurbishment of Marjories Court, $6.7 million. Outfitting of a building, Naparima Road, again a contract there for $3.5 billion. So the judiciary cannot account for tens of millions of dollars that they spent. Are these reasons why they want to hide that report from the public view? One, finance cannot account for the $386 million. The Financial Intelligence Unit, the FIU, cannot account. The judiciary cannot account. And as the days unfold, we will share with you more and more from that report. And that is why we have to ask, is that why they want to hide that report? I saw something interesting as I move along, before I close, in the newspapers over the weekend, where Mr. Rowley's business partner, the son of Mr. Rowley's business partner, has been charged. Over the weekend, and you will see the arrests there, we saw the son of Rowley's business partner, Alan Warner, was charged in connection with a large-scale illegal quarrying operation. His name is Aluko Atto Warner, one of the sons of Tobago construction magnate Alan Warner, is among 8 people charged with this illegal quarrying operation in Wallerfield. The officers reportedly discovered a large-scale mineral processing plant operating without a license. On Friday, young Warner and 7 other men were charged with processing minerals without a license under the relevant Minerals Act. Now let us remember who Mr. Alan Warner is. Alan Warner is Rowley's business partner at a company called Alma Farms in Tobago. He also sold 2 townhouses to the infamous Inez Gate to the Rowley family. Mr. Rowley, I think his daughter, for discounted prices, those townhouses at Inez Gate. Alan Warner is the CEO of Warner Construction and Sanitation Company. They have opened extensive operations in Trinidad last few years. I want to tell Alan Warner tonight to watch out with some of those friends that you think you have. I am informed, and it is alleged, that this raid on the Warner operation and the subsequent arrest of young Warner, son of Miss Alan Warner, was carried out at the request of a PNM government minister. This PNM minister's relative is associated with illegal quarrying operations inside the same Wallerfield area. I am told that the minister's relative has complained that the Warners have been selling more aggregate at lower prices and so reducing sales to the relatives quarrying. This minister coordinated, I'm told, allegedly, for the arrest of the young Warner to protect their family's relatives' business interests. So the TTPS must say why the Warner operation was targeted, but others in the same Wallerfield area were not. Many others are operating in likewise. And that is a question on many people's minds. So wait to see if similar action will be taken against the minister's relatives and the illegal quarrying operations. I want to ask something. Is it true that the Rowley government is refusing to pay Mr. Alan Warner monies due for work that he has done? Is that true? Have they turned against their business partner? And is that why they also targeted young Warner in the quarrying operations? Only time will tell. You know what happens in the dark? Always comes to light. Always come up in light. Now, Saddam spoke about another point which I'll not raise again, which is the attack they've had on independent institutions. In the last few minutes I have, let me just close as I thank you for sharing with us tonight. I leave you. I say to you once more, thank you for your inspiring support of our great party. We all know we will always face challenges in our quest to restore good or inclusive governance in TNT. But once we commit as a party, as individuals, as citizens who want better for our country, once we commit to fighting together with strength, determination, and courage, we will overcome. Our country is in deeply despairing times, but we can rescue it. And you know what we have to do. All our speakers tonight told us what we have to do. You don't need gun, you don't need cutlass, all you need is your voting finger. All you need is your voting finger. We need to come together hand in hand and heart to heart as we go forward. That index finger may hold a pen or the stamp that you use in the voting booth. But it is what makes the difference. It is the heart that makes the difference. That is where you will make the right choice to vote for the UNC to win. I know that we will be victorious. So I ask you, are you ready to win? Are you ready for victory? And La Hakata Talparo, all the boasting you all did tonight, you'll be number one when the results are called, when the roll is called up yonder. La Hakata Talparo with the number one seat in the house of the rising sun. I say we are UNC and we are proud. We are UNC and we are proud. The code is? Yellow is the code. You have had leaders before me, I tell you. You will always have leaders after me. But you will never ever have a leader who loves you as much as I do. God bless you. Long live the UNC and thank you.
Who feel the black? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's settled tomorrow night. Who feel the wrong? Who feel the right? Come and go. And all who feel the too bright. Let me jump up. Let me wind up. Party non-stop. Ramaje dingo leke kete, we come to play mass. Every creed and class. Don't let nothing